speakerii, iar în continuare suntem la cea de-a noua prezentare de astăzi. Erez, hello!
Hello.
Hello, glad to see you here. Thank you for your availability and the possibility for our participants to hear your presentation and to see your presentation. În continuare vom discuta despre top 10 amenințări frecvente ale rețelelor de wireless. Deci în continuare vorbim despre securitate, un subiect de top, mai ales în timpurile pe care le trăim acum. Erez, the floor is yours. You can include your presentation. Okay, the full screen. Please, you can start.
Yeah, you see
you can
it,
see it
right now?
It's okay. You can start.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So thanks for the introduction. My name is Erez Dror. I'm a sales director at the Orchestra Group. Today we are going to focus on one of our solutions named Harmony IoT, and to give you a brief about the top 10 wireless threats around your offices. We'll start with just a short intro about the company. We have founded by 2018. We have 3 offices, more than 45 employees, and we have 3 different product lines. In the middle is the one that we are going to talk about mainly today, but we have another 2. Harmony platform is a platform that is actually assisting organizations to harmonize many cybersecurity solutions. Sometimes there are more than 100 different solutions, so this platform is assisting the organization to actually deal with so many and having, for example, policies that are involving multiple different solutions. And another one, which we are not going to talk about today, is the Harmony Purple, which is a vulnerability prioritization tool, VPT tool, that actually is assisting the organization to find all the vulnerabilities and to prioritize them in order to deal with the most important vulnerabilities that actually assist the organization to work more efficiently and to have a secured environment. As I said at the beginning, we are going to focus on the middle, the Harmony IoT. While we are speaking about the IoT and the ability that today many attackers are using the airspace to actually create damage via this attack surface of the smart connected devices and IoTs, if you will have a look around you, you will probably find that there are so many devices, such as mobile devices and keyboards, Bluetooth keyboards, mouses, laptops, smart TVs, smart lights, and so on. Gartner is saying that there are about 30 billion devices in the world today, but what we're actually saying that this number is no more actually relevant, because it is a huge number. The devices are here, they are all around us. They probably will stay with us for a very long time, and that's the reason why we need to pay attention to these devices. In order to deal with all the threats that are coming from the airspace, we have developed a solution that consists of 3 main pillars. The first pillar is the ability to provide full visibility about all the smart connected devices and IoTs in the airspace, including corporate networks, non-corporate networks, hotspots, devices that are connected to each one of them, as well as devices that are not connected, but they are in the air. In the middle, to have the ability to have an accurate detection of malicious activity, and here we are relying on 2 sets of engines. One of them is checking deviations from a positive user's behavior in the airspace, and the second one is checking similarity to negative patterns in the airspace. And when we detect an event, suspicious event or an attack, we are raising the flag. And on the right side of the screen, our third pillar, which is the mitigation. The solution is assisting us to neutralize and mitigate the risk in real time. We are doing it and actually isolating the malicious device without interrupting to the environment. So theoretically, you can have an attacker and an innocent user staying in the same room. One of them will not be able to communicate with any networks and devices in the area. That's the attacker device, while the other innocent user can continue to work with no interruption. He will not even know that there is an attack and mitigations that are taking place. That's one of the unique functionalities of the solution. It's very important to mention that we are out of band, meaning that we don't need to integrate with any assets of or infrastructure of our customers. We're just passively listening to the airspace, and by using all these three pillars, we are building some kind of a virtual dome around the airspace of the organization in order to protect and to detect and block any attempt to create damage via the attack surface of the smart connected devices and IoTs. So let's drill down into the top 10 threats. The first one, misconfigured network access points. We are finding many access points in our customer sites that configured by mistake with the weak encryption, or sometimes hosting on the same access point both encrypted and non-encrypted networks side by side. This is a threat due to the fact that there are a few vulnerabilities that enabled attackers to actually use the weak encryption or to connect to an open network and then moves to another network within the same access point. And by doing that, actually to create a huge damage, because they can get a full control on the access point. We had in the past a case in a bank where there was actually an access point that was a part of a video conference system. It was misconfigured with the open, no encryption, and the system detected it. And actually what we found is that theoretically during a board meeting of this bank, someone could connect to it before we monitor the airspace. Someone could connect to it very easily, no password, and actually controlled the microphones and the cameras of the video conference system, and then actually leaking data from the organization from the board meeting. So that's a real case of one of our customers. Another threat is a rogue access point. This is took place a few times in the past that we saw a malicious insider or someone that was bribed, or even an employee that is not aware, is connecting unauthorized access point to the corporate network. By doing that, and by the way, there are many reasons. For example, to avoid the cabling from one point to another, just having two access points that are talking one with each other, some kind of an extension. The threat here is that the new access point that is connected to a corporate network is actually not configured according to the all the policies as defined by the organization. That the attacker can take advantage and they actually get access to work without any ability to actually deal with all the security in place, and by doing that, you get a full access to the corporate. Very dangerous, naturally. And we had a case in an airport where something like this was happening by one of the employees without even knowing what can cause this, what this step can cause, what is the damage. And there was an attacker that took advantage and actually leaked data, employees' data from the airport by using this access point that was not managed according to the security in this airport. So that was another case. The next threat is an insecure enterprise IoT. We are talking about many devices that are becoming smart and connected, and by the IT security, and they have the ability to connect to the corporate network. If the attacker will take advantage and connect to devices like this, he can, if this device is infected, for example, this device can play a role of a bridge into the corporate network. And we saw many times printers and smart TVs that can be used as pivots by the attackers to bypass all the corporate security. There was a very famous case. This is not one of our customers, but a very famous case of a casino in the United States that was hacked via the controller of a fish tank. The attackers took advantage that the controller of the fish tank was connected to the corporate network by mistake. No passwords, so they connected to the controller, and from the controller, from the fish tank, just got access to the most sensitive assets of this casino, stealing a lot of data, many gigs of data. Gigs were stolen here, and this is naturally very, very dangerous. The next threat are suspicious devices. We're talking about many tools and the wireless equipment that can be, by the way, many of them are very cheap right now. Devices that were available for governments in the past are becoming commodity, we can say. And by using these devices in the airspace of the organization, that they can cause a lot of trouble. Devices like, for example, Alpha or Panda, there is no reason for them to be in the airspace of the organization, whether it's in between the walls in the organization or even aside, due to the fact that we are talking about airspace. They don't need physically even to be inside the organization. And naturally, it's very important to detect these devices while they are just coming into the area, because they can cause a lot of trouble. The next threat is an insecure connections, and here we are talking about the fact that the attackers are looking for places where they can find many corporate devices. So, for example, if they are looking to hook a fish, they will go to a place where they can find many of them, like in the headquarters, on the branches. And it's very, very important to set policies that will enforce and make sure that the employees are actually not connecting to networks that they don't know, the unknown networks. Because if they will connect to external networks, mobile hotspots that they are not aware who is the origin, it's as our researchers are saying, it's game over, because then the attacker can exploit the device of the employee, and then when this employee will connect back to the real corporate networks, then naturally this is the door into the more sensitive assets of the organization, and this is a very, very dangerous, naturally. So what you can see is that it's enough from the attacker point of view just to hook one out of the entire corporate devices in the area. While they are hooking it in the area, they can just infect it. And when this device will connect back to the secure network, naturally the attacker can use this device as the door to it. The next threat that we are going to talk about is a wireless network hacking. We are talking about the fact that attackers will do whatever they can in order to get access to the corporate network, to the secure network. For example, guessing wireless passwords, or using attacks like brute forcing the WPS pin code, or spoofing the MAC addresses of devices and access points in the area, in order to actually be part of the white list of the organization. And there are many tools out there. You can see some of them here at the bottom of the screen. And naturally, this is something that can become a real threat from the organization. There was again, this is not one of our customers, a real case where you can see a press conference of the Dutch police after they caught a group of hackers that were parking in a car nearby a research center in the Netherlands. That's the car. They arrested them while they were making an attack via the Wi-Fi, and then put diagrams and did a lot of press conference, a big press conference describing this attack. This is something, again, we're talking about wireless airspace, and it's actually, you don't need even physically to be inside the organization, and that's the reason why it's so important to monitor the airspace. Another threat is man in the middle, and here we're talking about a very popular attack, many tools to actually convince the victim to connect to the attacker's access point instead of the real access point. And after it is connected, then you have the ability to actually listen to the traffic, to inject new traffic, to manipulate it, and so on. There are many flavors of this attack. You can see Karma, Evil Twin, beacons attacks, and so on. And we had another airport, not like the first one, where we found an attack that there was an active attack that actually hooked innocent passengers' devices. They used a very famous name of one of the mobile operators in this country, and actually hook them without even the passenger. The passenger actually don't need to do any connection request, because the devices, they remember previous connections, and they were connected automatically to the rogue network, and actually assisted, we can say, the attackers to achieve this type of attack. We are just almost done. Another one is a remote code execution, and here we are talking about the holy grails of the attackers, to actually run code, malicious code, remotely on the devices of the victims. Here, the attackers are using the fact that all the laptops and smartphones or any other device are having embedded wireless chips. There are many exploits that were found in the past with these wireless chips, and the attackers are taking advantage and using these exploits in order to actually take the control of the wireless chips, and from this point onwards to take the control of the device and other devices in the area. You have here a few examples that already took place in the past, and it looks like this. So the attacker is just transferring via the air packets in order to take the control of the wireless chips on the device, and then after he or she takes the control, actually spreading it and taking more devices, the control of more devices that actually can cause, you can imagine the effect. Another one is a surveillance device. We are talking about many devices that are becoming very small, they require very little power, and therefore they can be placed in any place in the organization to actually leak data, sensitive data, whether it's an audio or a conversation, or even screenshots from a smart TV, or any private data and sensitive data of the organization. We had an organization and an insurance company that in their data center, someone sticked just a dongle and bypass all their wired protection, wired network protection, and leaked data via the airspace directly from the equipment via the air. It's again, these are very, very cheap devices and can be used by attackers to create a big damage. The last one that we are going to talk about is the non-compliance with the key industry standards and guidelines. I'm sure that you have heard about PCI and NIST guidelines. They are very well known in the market. Lately, there were two new guidelines that were published. One of them by the UK government, this one, Chief Security Office UK Department, and another one by the US Office of Inspector General. And naturally, they have collected a lot of threats and providing guidelines on how to minimize the risk via the airspace. By the way, our solution is even taking into account all of them and just making some kind of a gap analysis on the relevant guidelines and what is the current situation in the organization. The threat is that actually without complying to this, sometimes you can even get financial penalties and legal actions and so on, because the organization could not meet what is expected. But besides of that, it's just a security threat from the organization point of view, and therefore it is strongly recommended to comply with it. And just to give you an example, we had a very sensitive organization that we found a printer in the executive room where it was actually, we saw 31 devices, external devices connected to this printer, direct Wi-Fi, and it was just a human mistake that someone forgot to disable it, and you can imagine that this printer on the other side is connected to the wired network. So it was actually an open door, inviting people to connect to it and get access to the wired network. Very easy way to create a damage. So that's actually what I have planned to share with you. Elena, do we have 2 minutes left?
Yeah, for the closure words, yes, please.
Okay, because what I would like to show is just the solution. Naturally, we don't have too much time to go over the solution, but the solution is providing us the ability to see a full visibility about all the devices, all the networks in the area, and if there are any security events. There was no activity, sorry. If there are any security events, so we are actually able to see them, the system recognizing them and raising the flag immediately. And by doing that, we can know immediately that, for example, there was a hot scan, that it was detected, the station was detected conducting a hot scan inside the corporate network with the attacker MAC address, the victim MAC address, the SSID, and so on. We have the ability to actually see a full view about all the events that are taking place in our airspace. We have the ability to enable policies. For example, we have customers that are not allowing corporate devices to connect to non-corporate access points in light of the threats that I have mentioned during the presentation, or we are not allowing any device to connect to suspicious networks. And by doing that, we actually making sure that any attempt to create damage via the attack surface will be detected and blocked in real time. So thank you very much for the time. And if you would like to have a one-on-one presentation and a full demo, including a POC, please get in contact with Elena, and we will be more than happy to
Thank you very much, Erez. I think all of those who are now with us in the e-conference are now more aware about the threats we are facing. We are very happy usually to use the wireless, but not always we are aware of the risks and of the threats. So now I think we have very valuable information and we should use it, and we should use the opportunity to have you in this conference and to ask our questions. Thank you very much once more. And